this new
Yeah,
role of president of soccer. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different clubs. What's
yeah,
it mean to Tyrone Mears and Fort Lauderdale United?
yeah. I think obviously, I came into the club at the very start, and I think when you're building up a club, there's a lot of things to do, and there's a lot of hats to wear, and that's what I've been doing, right from the start. So doing a lot of things.
Hello, welcome to the United Soccer Lounge. My name is Riley James. We have a show of consequence with our guests this week. On Tuesday, we learned that Tyrone Mears will no longer be the manager of Fort Lauderdale United. Instead, he is promoted to the front office role of president of soccer. Now, that means a lot of different things all over the world. So we'll ask him what it means for this club. In his place, Ali Rogers takes over as the manager of the club. So we ask about that as well. But Tyrone Mears is our guest today. He's played in the Premier League 69 more times than you. He has appeared in MLS matches on 96 occasions, a 2016 MLS Cup champion with the Seattle Sounders, not to mention a spectacular second division career that spanned over 100 appearances in the EFL Championship. So he knows a thing or two about what he's talking about. And he led Fort Lauderdale United to 14 wins, 11 draws, 9 losses, and a USL Super League final appearance. So he had the team going, and I trust that it's in good hands going forward, and we'll ask all about that over the course of today's show. If you like this show, you can subscribe to it. It's the United Soccer Lounge on Golds.tv or Golds TV on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching the show. Let's chat with Tyrone Mears. Please welcome to the program, Tyrone Mears. Tyrone, thank you so much for making time for us in a crazy week down in South Florida. And how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I think obviously exciting news for the club, especially the announcement of our new head coach. So yeah, it's been really really good.
We got a lot to get to over the course of today's show. There's a couple things I want to ask you about, and Fort Lauderdale has had quite the couple of seasons under your tenure. Switching that over to Ali Rogers, um, talking to you before the show, it's not going to be it's not going to be a very hard transition. She's obviously been with you and the coaching staff for the last couple of years, and the team with a final appearance last year and already off to a good start this year. It's seemingly like it's going to go pretty well. But I want to ask you about you, right? This new
Yeah,
role of president of soccer. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different clubs. What's
yeah.
it mean to Tyrone Mears and Fort Lauderdale United?
Yeah, I think obviously, I came into the club at the very start. And I think, when you're building up a club, there's a lot of things to do and there's a lot of hats to wear. And that's what I've been doing, right from the start. So doing a lot of things. Um, I think in terms of the announcement for me to go as president, we have a women's team. We're going to have a men's team. We've started the youth program, the youth academy as well. So really looking to manage all of that. And there's a lot of people involved in that, a lot of really good people. But just really having us all kind of on the same page with the same vision to drive forward.
And there's so much good women's soccer in Florida now. You have Sporting Jacksonville that came into the league this year. You guys played Tampa in the final last year. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just 3 Florida teams of the 9 in the
yeah,
Super League at the moment. You mentioned the men's team, the youth academy. There's so much happening in American soccer. We'll get to that later in the show. But your vision as someone who is now over the entirety of the club, what does it look like from 2025 and beyond, from all the levels of Fort Lauderdale United?
yeah. I think obviously, like you said, I was a former player. So I think in terms of wanting to compete and win things, that's always going to be on the forefront with, any of our teams. It's important. But I think on long term, looking at the vision, um, and why the owner started this, it was to create a pathway from youth to pro. And it's very, very hard in this country. Um, there's a lot of different aspects to it. We want to make it more streamlined for players, men and women, girls and boys. And like you say, being in South Florida, there is so much talent here. It's incredible. So we have everything here, and again, really to connect with our community. So again, getting young girls, young boys involved in the programs, but also the whole family. We want it to be a really kind of family orientated club.
And you mentioned the talent. There's so many international talent as well down in just, I mean, it's a melting pot of culture
It is,
in
yeah.
the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. And hopefully you guys tap into that and create a really good product. We've seen that through, the different clubs down there and what they've been able to do and to capitalize on such a culturally diverse environment. So hopefully Fort Lauderdale is the next in line on both levels. Um, let's go and kind of look through the managerial part of your tenure with Fort Lauderdale United.
Yeah.
Obviously, some really great moments. You're 14, 11, and 9 through your games there, a final appearance, a playoff win. When you look back on your time on the bench and in the dugout, what do you feel now that it's concluded?
Yeah, listen, it was tough. It was fantastic that we reached the final. A lot of ups and downs through the season, which it's normal when you get so many different players and you put them all together. It takes time, and it was not something where we have to win in the first season, something that we want to grow long term and be consistently successful. But again, the players, I think everyone involved did a fantastic job to get to the final. It was disappointing to lose it, of course, but what I would say when I look back, I was so proud of the players, the way they fought. Like I said, we had a little dip in the season, and they got themselves together and really, really went after it. And they did fantastic to finish in the playoffs, to win that playoff game, to get to the final. So just when I look back, just very proud.
And Fort Lauderdale United is a testament to what the Super League is, right? You made the playoff on a tiebreaker. You beat the best team in the league on points, and then you go and you play in a final, a really competitive final that went to extra time. And it's
Yeah.
spectacular what you're able to accomplish last season. And I talked to Adam McCain at the winter break, and she said all of those same things where it's about resilience and it's about, getting through some of those tough moments. And she's moved on to Lexington. She's having a pretty good start to her time there, but this coaching staff that you've put together, you are now taking an executive role. Ali Rogers steps into the managerial position. What can fans know about her and what should they expect from her going forward?
Yeah, again, a little bit like myself, she played pro. She's gone through the college system. And then after retiring, as a young coach, she's gone through the youth system. She's gone back to college again, had that experience. She came last season and worked in the pro environment. So all those steps, and again, I think in terms of the recruitment and the players that we want to bring here, we want young players. And she's been through all those different levels as a player and worked with players now as a coach. So I think it's fantastic that we can get someone with that kind of experience that is going to help the players.
And obviously, players know her very well. She was
Yeah.
your second command, and you were telling me that the process is not going to change a whole lot between you and Ali, and hopefully the results that came with you come with her, and it's everyone's happy down there in South Florida. It's nice down there. I was recently in Florida. I did a show at Tampa Bay, and man, the what you guys have down there and culturally in the state of Florida and where soccer is
Mhm.
right now, I can't imagine what it's like down there with you get USL Championship Club and Inter Miami, Fort Lauderdale, a men's team coming in next year. There's so many avenues for soccer down in South Florida, and Fort Lauderdale is one of those places, and hopefully the results continue to be that way. I want to talk about your playing career just a moment to give some context about your new position and everything going into being the president of soccer. Now, you came up through Manchester City. You played in the EFL Championship over 100 times. You played in the Premier League 69 times. you don't play in the best league in the world if you're not a great player. So your playing career and being a right back, being a defender, what did that teach you about your new role now in an executive leadership position?
Yeah, I think what I would say is, like you say, being able to play at the highest level was fantastic. Playing at the highest level with different teams, you learn a lot. You
Yeah.
learn how teams are run and shaped. And very differently with each of those clubs. Again, I went and played in France, one of the biggest teams in Olympique Marseille. I come over to the MLS, Seattle and Atlanta, two of the biggest teams in America on the men's soccer side. So a lot of experience. And again, as you get towards the end of your career, where you're at the start, you're solely focused on your game and very individual. And as you get older, you do start to think about what's next. And again, it's all there for you if you want to learn. I think in terms of the people you've worked with that have all that experience at different aspects in the club. But yeah, when I retired, I did start, a master's in sports directorship. It was something I wanted to learn about actually, running a team. So a lot of really good information was learned on that, and I got to go into different clubs, meet sports directors, general managers, football executives. So yeah, like I say, this move was something that was already planned. It was always in place when I joined the club. I think it was just a matter of when that was going to happen. And like I say, I think the successful start we've had as a club in that first season with the women, the youth program starting now, the men's coming in, we felt it was the right time.
Your context for American soccer, right? It's very, very different than anywhere else in the world. You played in France, you played in England, you come over to MLS, and it's a wildly different landscape. To have the championship run with Seattle, to have success in a couple different MLS clubs, what did it teach you about American soccer? And probably more to my question, what surprised you the most about American soccer?
Yes, listen, I'll be honest, I didn't know a lot about it. I knew there was a league there. Um, I didn't know a lot. Um, I I went to a game. I think my first game was Seattle against LA Galaxy. So I fly into Seattle. Obviously, they're playing in the football stadium, and I was so surprised because it was sold out. Sold out. Not only was it sold out, I was surprised that the culture of the fans. It was very European in Seattle. The way they cheered throughout the game. I was so impressed, so impressed. Um, and I think obviously when I signed for Seattle, and then just getting to know the players there at the start, playing your first few games, you realize that it's a decent level. It's a good level, and it's players you have no idea about, which was surprising. I can remember that first season, Jordan Morris and Christian Roldan,
Yeah.
and they'd just been drafted, and I was like, "What? You've come from college? What do you mean? What have you been doing?" And they explained it, and it was just so foreign to me. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed playing in the MLS. Again, it's continuing to grow. Soccer as a whole in this country, you have the World Cups coming, so it's an exciting time to be involved in soccer here.
And that leads us to the men's team coming in 2026, right? It's a very important step to get included into a USL League One that is exploding. There'll be a lot of new teams next year, almost half of or a 50% increase from what is playing
Yeah,
currently right now is coming in 2026. And you look at 2027 promotion relegation. Now you have played in this, you have been this is ingrained in who you are as a professional soccer player to be worried about relegation and to be excited about promotion. What can American fans expect from this whole process and when it starts on the USL level?
yeah. I don't think it's something that we spoke about with the league. There's going to be a lot of education that I think needs to come from the league and the clubs to get that, fully understand how this works because it doesn't happen in this country. But what I will tell you is going to make the league so much more exciting to be involved in, as players, as a club, and definitely as fans. It's just an experience that I can't really describe, because in Europe, um, it's great. You want to be entertained, there's no doubt, a style of play. But
Right.
when it does mean so much more in terms of, dropping out of the league or going to the next league. Yeah, it's a great step by the USL.
Yeah, and just to be able to have games between the 19th place team and the 20th
Yeah,
place team matter when you get down to the end of the year. I'm not sure about the scheduling if they're going to move to a European style of schedule. I think it'd be a great idea, but the execution of that is obviously a little bit more difficult with being able to do that in real time. But no, it's a massive thing. It's all we talk about really on this show, and it's 2 years away. And promotion relegation has such an impact on how these teams are preparing. I'm talking to you, championship clubs and League One clubs, of how excited they are. Teams that haven't started playing yet. Interviewed the folks from the New York Cosmos, and they're coming in the same time as you guys are, and it's like that's all they're thinking about when they put together a roster. So you guys, I think, have an advantage at that standpoint of you are now like you're basing your entire roster off how can we either stay up in the league or move to the next league, which is that's exciting times that expansion teams actually have the advantage going into.
and it is.
Um,
I mean, I'll go back to, like I said, I had a fantastic experience in the MLS. Um, that was probably one of the biggest things for me. Just the playoff system, and all you have to do is kind of finish in the playoffs, and
yeah,
and then it's interesting because now it's about momentum and like you say, how you set up your teams and different things like that. And I completely understand that playoffs are an important part of US sports, and I think it's something the league is still going to have. Um, but yeah, the relegation, promotion changes everything.
I would love to see a promotion style playoff like you guys have in England. I think that would be the most beneficial thing for American soccer to have 3 through 6 play for that third automatic or that third spot. The first two obviously
Listen,
automatic.
I've been involved in that with two clubs in the championship, and they say it's one of the biggest kind of prize money in the world. That one game to go from the championship to the Premier League, I just can't tell you how much pressure is involved in that. But when we lost one and we won one, like it's worth it. It's massive, and I think it's something I'm sure the league will be looking at.
Because like we just said, it matters between two teams that are not at the highest level, but they're competing to get to the highest level. And then
Yeah,
you throw in at the top with whatever they're going to call that first division, a place in the CONCACAF Champions League since it's classified as the
exactly.
first division. Like there's so many levels to it, and I think USL has a fantastic opportunity to compete as a really, really competitive league in the United States. So there's one thing I want to ask you. Thank you so much for the time. Like I said, a pretty busy week for you down in South Florida. Um, you've been through a lot in your career, whether it be as a
Mhm.
player or now as an executive. From a Manchester City youth system with a lot of pressure there, I'm sure, to playing in relegation battles, to coming to MLS, playoff grind, now leading a team as an executive. What's one piece of advice after you look back through your career that you could give to someone who wants a similar path to yours of playing and then being involved in the leadership position?
Yeah, I think for me, you have to be dedicated. Um, Now, I'm not saying you have to solely focus on one certain aspect, but just be dedicated to your profession and in terms of that hard work, that commitment, just put everything into it. And then I would say probably the biggest thing for me is be resilient. There is, in life, especially in sports, there's a lot of ups and downs, and I can tell you, the hard stuff that I went through as a youth player, where it wasn't looking like I was going to make it. You know, I'll get my professional contract to being a professional player and breaking my leg twice. You know, how do you come back from that? You're the same player. Then it happens again. You're written off. I can tell you about deals that have fallen through that you've got your heart set on. And then when it doesn't happen, what happens now to your path, your goals? So I think, yeah, resilience is massive. It's huge.
I wish we had an hour to talk about all those things, Tyrone. I wish we got to come back on the show to
We
talk
can we
about
can
your.
do it again, 100%. We can.
Got to get you back on to talk about your playing career more in depth. Obviously, a big week, big news down in for Fort Lauderdale United. So that takes precedent. But I mean, you have an incredible story yourself, and we'd love to be able to tell it. But thank you so much for taking some time for us in an incredible week, a direction changing week for Fort Lauderdale United. And I wish you guys the best of the luck, and obviously congratulations to you and Allie for your new positions.
No, I appreciate it, and like I said, for us, it's so exciting. I think the future is bright for this club and for the community.
Thank you so much to everyone in Fort Lauderdale for the time. Tyrone in the middle of a crazy week giving us 20 minutes to be able to chat all about it. Cannot ask for anything more than that. Best of luck to him and Allie for the rest of the season in their new roles with the club. And truly, it is a honor to have him on the show. You don't play in the Premier League 69 times if you're a bad soccer player, not to mention 96 appearances in Major League Soccer, a champion with Seattle. He's a legend when it comes to that community up in the Pacific Northwest, and hopefully he forges his way down in South Florida, two places cannot be further away on the map of the United States. So, spectacular to be able to have him on the show. Thank you so much to everyone that watched. If you like us, you can find us on the internet. I'm at Riley James IAC on Instagram and X. The Instagram account for the show is at USL on Goals. The parent company is at goals.tv on Instagram, at goals_TV on X. And www.goals.tv has many great creators making wonderful content about the world of soccer and everything in it. That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for watching the show. For Tyrone Mears, I'm Riley James. We got a fantastic couple of shows coming up, if anyone cares. We'll see you again next week.